question is for those of you who are just getting started, and my computer's going crazy. Okay. And so I'm assuming that you all have a Desmos account at this point. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you'll want to, of course, you sign into your Teacher Desmos account, and you go in over here on the left under your activities. There's a section that says Custom. Now, my custom activities is going to have everything that I have made come up, so yours will not look like that. So if you're following along on a second screen or some second device or something, your custom activities would just have anything that you had ever edited. What you would want to do from here is we're going to look at creating a new activity. So we're just going to call this the playground. And I'll call this playground 2 because I have another playground. I create playground activities when I'm trying out new things in Desmos, just because when things go wrong and if I can't find my mistake, I don't want it in the actual activity.
I must have looked away for a second. Where did you click? Where did you click for that?
Over on the right, it's once you go to custom on the left, over on the right, there should say new activity.
Okay, I got you. Thanks.
Okay. And if anytime you have a question, just say, hey, I have a question. I don't mind being interrupted. So once you go into a new activity, here along the top, you can push this plus, and that's just going to add different screens, different slides to your activity. And then you have all of these different things over here on the left to play with. The first thing I want to say is Note is your best friend, because what happens is people go straight to trying to make a multiple choice question. And then they're like, where do I type in the question? Well, the answer is you have to put a note in. So you put in a note, and here's where you would say, my question is, okay? And then you would put in your multiple choice, and this is where they would answer the question. So maybe I'll change that to, my favorite season is, and the first one would be summer. I'm going to put the correct answer in first, right? And then you just click.
I'm sorry. Did you hit a button over on the left that said multiple choice?
Yes, I clicked the multiple choice.
Okay.
So now, and then this is only the, where you would put in the answers, right?
Right.
Now, let's say you want to add something else. Let's say you want them to also say why. Then you would put a text input, because this is where you would want them to write something. So now we've talked about a note, a text, and a multiple choice. So before I talk about some of these other things, I'm going to talk about organizing. So you know how limited the slides are in Desmos. So I'm going to tell you two things. Preview each slide as you go. Don't wait till the end and then go back and preview everything. Just click preview, see what it looks like. This doesn't look too terribly crazy at the moment because I've only got those 3 things on there. But maybe I want to move my question over like so, and now I'm going to say something like rank seasons using for summer, etc. I'm not going to actually finish that. And now I'm going to put in a math input too, because here they're going to be typing in numbers. Now they can type in fancy math in the math input as well, which you're going to see when I preview again. Because I want to preview and just make sure that as I add to things, like it's all still fitting on the screen nicely. So I've got my text input. Now I've got input, and you can see they can click here on the keypad and get the math functions. Now, at some point, you've got to quit adding to this slide, of course. So I'm going to click up here, and I realize, you know what? I really wanted that to be my first slide. You just click it and drag it down to the beginning. Click on your next new slide, and now you can add some other things. Let's say I wanted to do a checkbox input. What would I have to put first? I know, a quiz already, right?
Note. Nope.
You've got to have the note first, and then you do the checkboxes. And so this is where you're going to get the checkbox input. Now, the difference between a checkbox input and a multiple choice input is multiple choice is a single answer, whereas checkboxes are where you would have multiple answers. Another thing you might do is you might change your mind. Okay, I don't want the checkboxes. So over here, see these 3 dots on the right side where my cursor is? If I click there, I can just delete that component. I don't have to have that. So let's say I'd rather have an ordered list. Now I have my ordered list option. Now, I realize I'm going through these inputs pretty quickly. Some of them you've seen in activities before, and so you kind of have an idea of what they do, and some of them you're like, maybe I'm not sure. Here's my thing. You just play with it. That's why I keep my playground activities in my custom. Desmos is one of those things that it seems a little intimidating at first, but once you start to play with it, it does get easier. So make yourself a playground activity and just start playing with things, you know, that you're not quite sure about. All right, I've got a few more things to show you. You can see I'm ready for my next 6 inputs. They're pretty straightforward. The first one's a graph. So when you do the graph, you just click where it says edit graph, and let's say you need to graph y equals x squared minus 2. You put it in there, done. Graph, you must preview because you just never know what it's going to actually look like to the students. What it looks like on your building screen is not always exactly what it looks like. In this case, you're like, you lied, it does. Well, what if you did the graph and then you said, oh, I also want to put a note and I want to put a text input. Now all of a sudden it's a little smaller. So you see what I mean? Like you really want to play with the graphs, preview the graphs, I mean, before you move on from those. All right. The next is a sketch, and the sketch is one of my favorites because when you put in a sketch, you can click on this background and you can have a blank, you can have an editable graph, or you can have a custom image. The reason I like this is because if you put in that graph and you edit the graph, y equals 2 over, oops, I'm not typing. Y equals 2 over x minus 3, right? Let's say that's what it is. And I can put in a note, draw in the asymptote. Notice I didn't say which asymptote, but that would be bad, but you can do it. So now you've made the graph and they can go in here with the sketch tool and they can draw in some lovely asymptotes. So I really love that sketch tool because you can add different things to it. I've even done some things with custom images, especially for like statistics courses. Like I've put some normal distribution curves in there, and then they can sketch on top of the normal distribution curves. All right, so let's get another new slide up there. Media. So if you want to have an image there, because sometimes, especially at the very beginning of an activity, you want to just give some information and you don't want it to be just words on a screen, right? So you can just click and upload a file. I'm going to put in that capture and I'm going to upload my image, and my internet's really slow. And then I'm going to add a note, and I could talk about, in this case, factoring by grouping. I don't think I've said this, but titles are good. This is not where I would put the question. I would strictly use this for your title of your slide. Use the note to always do your question. So, you know, I might write something about factoring by grouping over here on the side of my image. All right, next. Am I going too fast? I feel like I'm going really quickly because I have so much to talk about. Nicole's face says it all. She's like, yeah, it's a little fast, a little fast. Okay, I'll pull it down. So next we have the geometry input. So for you geometry folks that you want to put in, say, a polygon, make pretty polygons like so. Oops, I thought I double clicked that. And then you want to see what it looks like. There you go. I don't make a lot of geometry activities, so I don't really use the geometry slides very often, but it is an option. I know that some folks like to make all of their geometric shapes in Active Inspire, so you could also use the sketch with an image as a background if you like that better. Now, a table. Tables are just exactly that. They're a table. So if you wanted a student to find X and Y values, right, you could do that. Let's say you wanted to have another column. You can click over here and you can insert a column to the right. You saw that there were some other menus for your column. You might have something you wanted formatted as text. So this defaults to a math input, but if you wanted to format something as text, you can choose that in a column. So maybe you wanted a student to make a comment on something that they did. You could format that column as text. So that really is the down and dirty on these main slides that you would use for a beginning activity. The button feature is something that you would have to go into the computation layer just a little bit to use. So I won't be going over using a button in this particular session. But a button is simply one of those things where it says click here for, and you click the button and something happens. And so depending on what it is you want to have happen when you click that button, that's where the computation layer would come into. And I will show you that here in a minute because I'm going to show you how to copy and paste slides from other activities. Before we do that,
Candace?
I will. Yes.
I'm sorry. Oh,
don't apologize.
On the screen that you just had with the table. On that, yeah, slide 7. How did you bring up that list of changing what you wanted to put in the
down
table?
arrow?
The arrows? Is
Yeah,
it just the down arrow?
Yeah, the little down arrow.
And there's a down arrow in each of those.
Yes. So you'll notice that as soon as I type something into this first box of the table, you'll notice that the little lock button, the little lock icon comes up.
Yes.
That means that's going to show up. The students can't type over that. They can't get rid of it. It's locked into place. Once you have done that, then you'll get the drop down arrow and you can choose one of those options. So let's just preview that real quick. You see that X and that Y automatically show up and it's gray. And if I try to click in it, I can't click in it. But the white ones I can click in to type in.
Okay.
And
how did you get the lock in the top two?
I just typed something into it. So if I delete that, the lock goes away. Right? Okay.
And if you don't type anything in the other boxes, then that means that they're unlocked and they can enter into them.
Right. Absolutely. So now when I go, like I said, when I go to my preview, something that I've typed in, they can't change, but this one they can. This one they
So
can.
did you format those boxes so that they would do something in particular in them, like?
They're just, as they are, they're just in straight input boxes. They are, right now they're all, I've got them all set on the default. You can see the keyboard, which means that they are a math input.
Okay.
You could change them for a text input. But right now they're just set for kids to type in something mathematical like a number or
So
an
if I
expression.
wanted to change, like underneath the X, I wanted to change that square to be a text input. You would do that at the top of the column?
Yep, and it would change everything to be a text input going down. So now you see that keyboard doesn't come up like it does over here.
Okay, thank you.
And if you wanted to put like values for X in, you see those boxes are all going to change to locks too, because I've entered those in. So let's say I was having them evaluate for values of X. Then I've put those values of X in. When I preview, you'll see that those are locked. The students would put in the Y values.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else? Any other questions up to here? Okay. I'm going to talk about one of the full screens that you can use, which is the graphing calculator. And it's going to be just like the Desmos graphing calculator that the kids would use on their SOL test. So when you do this particular choice, it has to be full screen. You notice that all of my other options have disappeared. You cannot add anything else to this screen. So you would either have to add a note into the calculator itself, or say something on the previous slide about what it is they're going to be doing on this particular slide, because they're just going to be able to type into it like any other time they've gone to the Desmos graphing calculator. So when you preview it, it just looks like that. All right, I will add another slide. So two popular activities that Desmos have that it's designed to help you with are marble slides and card sorts. I mean, unless you don't want kids to be able to check their work, I wouldn't use the card sort, because right now you don't know the computation layer to do that. You could make a card sort though. They just wouldn't be able to check their own work. You can make an answer key so you could see the answers on your side, but they wouldn't be able to check their own work without something from the computation layer. With card sorts, you just add the cards that you want. They can be a math or text card. They can be an image, and then you would just click on that image again and upload whatever image you wanted. And then you can have graph cards. So if you want a graph card, you just type in the equation that you want, and then it would produce that card. Now, once you've entered all the cards that you would like, you can create an answer key. It'll just let you click on the answer key button. And when you do that, you just group the cards that go together. And when you're done, you click done. All right, questions on the card sort? All right. Something that is super useful in making activities is to be able to copy and paste screens. So let's say you found an activity. I'm going to click over here on this activity. I'm going to use my own and not pick on anybody else's. And let's say in this activity, you just really love this slide here. And all you want to be able to do, all you need to do is to change out the text. So easy to edit. So you come back out to this screen, and beside the activities, over in the top right corner, there's the 3 dots. And most likely you would copy and edit. I'm going to be able to just edit because it's my activity, but if you click copy and edit, it will put a copy of the activity into your custom list. You go into edit it, and you choose the slide that you want to take to your new activity, and you click Control-C it. Once you've done that, you go to your new activity, click on a new slide, Control-V. So cut and paste just like you would in Word. Then let's say you actually want to use this for HCPS Return to Learn survey. You change your title, you change what it is you want the students to do, and the other things that were on that slide have remained the same. Now, what you have to be careful about with copying and pasting slides from other activities. When you go in to edit an activity and you're looking through, at, say, this first slide, notice that this button has turned green here and here. This top one is gray, these two are green. What that means is that whoever created this activity used computation layer on these two pieces. So if you click on it, there's something hidden or some script used in the computation layer. That's what that green means. So you would not necessarily, if you copied this, you would need to be very careful to make sure that you don't get a warning sign, because if you get a warning sign, it means that the computation layer used refers to another slide in the activity. And if you're new to this, it's going to be hard to tell when that happens. This particular slide, all the computation layer refers to this one slide. So if you copied and pasted it, you would actually be okay unless you started changing things. But there are some computation layers where this slide depends on something written in a previous slide. So if you try to copy just the one, then you get an error message because you didn't copy everything that you need. So just be careful when you're using this. It's a great feature, the copy and paste feature, but you just have to be careful and know that if you get that warning, that probably you needed another slide along with it.
Candace, where did you see gray versus green color?
So see up here in this first one, unlabeled note, see how the greater than, the less than / greater than is gray?
No.
On my screen, you don't see where my cursor is?
Oh, okay. On that, yes, I do see.
Okay, so that gray, no computation layer used, but see how this button, it's green, computation layer has been used.
Yep.
Okay.
I gotcha.
Another great thing to copy and paste are starters. What?
Can I ask a question real quick too?
Sure.
So the one that you made, you clicked on to copy and edit, and then I went to the slide I wanted, and I Control-C it and Control-V it to the other thing. This is just a copy of the original, right? So the original one is still going to stay just fine. So when I'm done with this, when I'm done with the one I've made the copy of, it says publish. Do I publish it, or, I mean, what do I do with it when I'm done? Because I only want that one slide up.
If you just wanted that one slide, then you don't want to publish it. And I'll show you how to delete an activity here in a minute from my custom list.
Okay.
In fact, I will do this. I will. I'm going to go back here. And instead of just editing my draft, what I will do is I will copy and edit.
That's what I did. I'm sorry,
So
I wasn't paying attention.
You copied and edited. So let's say you accidentally did publish it, okay? And so that's loading. So now when I go into my custom, I have this copy of an activity that I didn't mean to make, right?
Right.
Again, the 3 dots, I click on those, I can delete it.
All right, because yeah, when I'm looking at mine and I click on the publish, it does give me a thing where it's a discard the draft. So I could just discard the draft because it was just a copy anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
if you accidentally
you.
do publish it, you can always, like I said, just go in and delete it. All right. So now, like I said, I have one more thing that I want to definitely show you to copy and paste. When you log into Desmos, teacher.desmos that is, and you go to home, they have their featured collections. One of their featured collections is this starter screens, and they have the editable fraction task, they have screens for checking understanding, and screens for checking in. And these are just some pre-made screens that they have created that you might be interested in using in your activities. So this first one is just a how are you feeling today? And you can drag the little thing and change how the robot looks. He can be really happy or he can be not so happy. They have just a question one, a few different things. Oh, whoops. They have, you know, the where are you at today, which I think is kind of cool because this one, you know, they can put the dot anywhere. They don't have to stay on an axis. So I think that one's pretty cool. Sort of a which one doesn't belong type thing, but the question is your stress level. Then this is one where they've done a sketch, and so you can sketch your energy level. So just some great like starter screens. So I really like the sketch one, let's say. Again, I'm going to click on it. Whoops. And Control C. And here, these actually tell you that they've been copied. And now I can go over. I can add a screen, Control V. And this was a starter screen, so I want it at the beginning. I just slide it down to the beginning. The other ones that I like, and again, you can choose what you like best, is they also have the ones that are the check for understanding. And I use these pretty much at the end of all of my activities. So if you've ever used an activity I've made, you've probably seen one of these four. And they might be the graph one, or they might be something as simple as just what questions do you have today? So let's say I'm going to use this one again, Control C. I go back to my activity. I add, I don't want it to be at the beginning. I want it to be at the end. Control V. And now I've got a nice starter screen at the beginning, and I've got a nice reflection screen at the end, and I didn't have to do anything but copy and paste. And that puts us at 3:42, so I have 3 minutes. So if we have questions on anything, and I know that it feels like this has been really quick, so if you have questions on anything, now is a great time to ask them.